Before me today, we have an absolutely incredible Colt 1877 Lightning revolver. This is basically as close as you can get to mint from the factory in the 1880s. Like so many of the beautiful Colts that are in this auction, this one comes to us from the Greg Lamp collection. You know, he sought out the best of the best, and this gun is certainly that. And if you take a look at it, like I mentioned before, it's got beautiful engraving from Cuno Helfricht. He was the primary engraver at Colt from the 1870s well into the 20th century. And these are just classic Helfricht patterns. You can still see it's got kind of the earlier Germanic style scroll engraving that was popular in the United States in the 19th century, you know, going back to Gustav Jung and the other early engravers at Colt. Helfricht kept that tradition going, but when you look at this gun, you can kind of see more of his style influencing the overall design. And it's got a lot of variety. So we've got scroll work as the majority of the engraving with punch dot backgrounds, but you've also got like burst patterns around the front sight. You've got this Nimschke star, they call it, on the loading gate. You've got intertwining wavy lines along the trigger guard. You've got little accents here along the edge of the trigger guard. I mean, you just got little elements here and there throughout that kind of spice it up and make it a very interesting and unique revolver all around. As I mentioned at the beginning, this is a Colt 1877 Lightning revolver in .38 long Colt. The Lightning's pretty significant as Colt's first double action revolver design. In the 1870s and the 1880s, double actions were becoming more and more popular. So you've got things like the Webley Bulldog that would have been competing in the American market, plus there was copies of the Webleys being produced. And basically this is Colt's design that came out to compete with the Webley and other double action designs. So obviously with a double action revolver, that allows you to fire more rapidly, which is really helpful if you're in close quarter combat kind of situations. So the Colt Model 1877, both the Lightning version in .38 Colt like this example and the .41 Colt Thunderer version were very popular with police departments, and that's very significant for this revolver here. If you take a look at the back strap, it's inscribed with the name Lyman Smith. And if you take a look at the front strap here, it says Foot Guard Fair, December 1888. So the Governor's Foot Guard is the oldest continuous existing military unit in United States history. It goes back to the 1870s, and it was basically a National Guard unit serving underneath the Governor of Connecticut. And the Foot Guard Fair was held in early December 1888 to basically raise funds to help decorate and, open up the new armory. It actually became a pretty common place to have, special events in Hartford going forward. And Lyman Smith received this revolver because he was voted basically the most popular police officer in Hartford during the fair. So his name's inscribed in the back, the Foot Guard Fair is inscribed in the front. By the 1880s, Lyman Smith had already had a long career in civil service in Hartford. He was actually born in Hartford, but grew up in New York City, where his father was an early policeman and was actually killed in a riot. Then Lyman Smith moved back to Hartford, where he became a firefighter, and then once Hartford established its own police department in the 1860s, he became an officer within their department. By the 1880s, he was a detective or special officer within the Hartford Police, and he was also the local truant officer. So while Lyman Smith most likely carried a Colt revolver, possibly even a Lightning if he carried a gun while he was on duty, he very clearly did not carry or use this beautiful Colt Lightning. This one would have been tucked away as a special, memento, a special example of how beloved he was by his community. And you can tell from the condition that this gun has basically rarely been outside of this case here. And the case itself is also something rather special. If you take a look at the case, it's got this beautiful kind of French fitted, close fitted interior where it's form fitted to the revolver. You can tell the revolver's obviously spent a lot of time in here. You can see that this case is basically only sat in storage, and the gun is basically sat here protected, for decades. And these cases were only used by Colt in the 1880s for a brief period. You can see a few other examples in some of R.L. Wilson's books. And this case set is actually pictured in the Book of Colt Engraving Volume 1. This beautiful Colt Lightning is basically, as I said at the beginning, as close as you're gonna get to seeing a mint condition Colt Lightning as it would have looked when it left the Colt factory. When you combine that with the beautiful engraving on this gun, the rare special combination of finishes, the pearl grips, the historic inscription to a police officer in Hartford, you've got a really unique piece that will definitely add value and interest to any Colt firearms collection out there. And this is just one of many beautiful Colts from Greg Lamp's collection that we're going to be taking a look at in some of our videos as we lead up to our May premiere firearms auction.